the second you take away sort of those self-limitations, and you're like, okay, look, you've been shown that you can, in your experience or in the things that you've seen, you've only been able to go to here, or you've only known people who are going to here. And part of that is, okay, find mentors, even if it's not somebody you meet. Like if you're just following somebody on a podcast, or things like that, and like somebody who can take you from here to maybe not even here yet, but where you're comfortable here. And then you're just going up and up and up. And I think that's one of the biggest things. Like I said, it has been sort of like a male-dominated industry. So I think that you get some people who get a little, okay, well, I don't have the knowledge. I don't know where to go. It's sort of that challenge. I don't know if I can, like, climb this mountain. But once you realize that there was so many people who want you to succeed in this industry. There were so many people who want you to succeed. Because honestly, and it sounds cliche and it sounds just like a soundbite, but it's really not. It's if you're succeeding, then it's going to be more likely that I'm going to succeed. Because if somebody knows about solo and they were sort of on the fence about it, but then their neighbor got it, right? That's going to make it easier for the neighbor to want to do solo, and maybe that's one that I get to do, and that's good. Like there's a healthy competition that's there, and I think that the more that we can foster that while still being supportive, it's just a win-win.
Hey ladies, how are you girls doing today? On today's inaugural podcast episode of Deals and Heels, we have the honor of chatting with Ashley Storms, and who has been in the roofing industry for the last 8 years. So where most roofing companies only sell a new roof, Ashley has built in a concrete reputation in her industry in the DFW area, and finding and training only the most professional and passionate people to help their customers fully restore their homes. So she's known for not just building a company, but building a family with some ride or die crews and ride or dies. Ashley's a ride or die girl. So, and I'm most excited to get deeper into that. So let's welcome Ashley from Storms Construction and Solar Storms.
Boom!
Yeah.
So exciting. So we're also in DFW, so thanks for giving us a warm welcome into your office.
No, I've had so much fun with you guys today.
Love that. We busted out a few videos because we're going to get ready for recruiting. But yeah, like tell us your story. Where you got started, what got you here.
So my great grandfather served in World War II, France, Germany. So he basically said, no one's ever coming to save you. You need to know how to like take care of yourself and everything. So growing up in my family, it was just, how do you fix stuff around the house? How do you do this? How do you do that? Which a lot of people didn't get that knowledge growing up, and I didn't realize it at the time. And so fast forward, I ended up going to California with my husband when he was stationed there.
But you grew up here in DFW?
I grew up in DFW, and we were out there, and we got there about the time when the housing market started to crash. And so people were sitting there going, I'm going to lose my home. I've got to figure out how I can sell it for the most. And I'm like, I know how to paint, and things like that. And then volunteering with women who were in the battered, situations, and leaving that and trying to help them sort of get reestablished, and things like that. And I came back to Texas, loved real estate investing, but nobody was going to give a young 20-year-old like $1 million to start investing.
So, and I want to talk about that as well. I think that's going to be really interesting as to why.
And doing that, and so we ended up deciding, okay, well, let's, we already know how to do some basic construction stuff. Let's just sort of start on that. And I chose roofing in particular. My grandmother had roof issues, and a really nice roofer came out, said, look, I can fix all of your vents for $500, get you watertight, which was really sweet of him. But the problem is, a couple years later, she had leaks in the exact same spots again.
Yeah, because I was going to say, that sounds a little too cheap, right?
Yeah, $500. Cheap. But here's the thing, that's what her deductible was. So 2 years before, if he'd have actually asked the right questions and done a full conversation with her, she could have had an entire new roof and no interior damage for the same price of what she just paid for that. So my heart was, I want to make sure that people are being taken care of entirely, which means getting the accurate information. And so that's sort of how we got started professionally, was just snowball from the different things I'd learned growing up, and then just wanting to help and make sure people got taken care of the right way.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's an amazing story. And because on this podcast we have a lot of solar salespeople, solar company owners. The word deductible, we've heard it thrown around in the roofing industry, but we don't really know what it is in the solar industry. What's a deductible?
So basically, when you have imagine like when you get in a car accident, right? You've got to pay that $500 or $1,000, and then insurance takes care of the rest. That's your deductible. You have the exact same thing. Yeah, it's like a little bit of an upfront. If they want to make sure that you're going to have some skin in the game too, so that, hey, you're not just going to file a claim for no reason just because you don't like the color of your roof today.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So you've got to have actual damage, and then you've got to put some of your skin in the game too if they're going to pay the majority of it. Is the easiest way.
Yeah.
And there'll be somebody who tells me I'm completely wrong, but that's the easiest way of understanding it. So, but yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I like how you talk about skin in the game. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So Ashley, you've been in the roofing industry 8 years.
Yep.
So in an earlier conversation, you talked about there's a stigma where men are vilified in this industry because you're a woman and you're entering in this industry. So 8 years into it, what's your take on that? Because that caught my interest.
Yeah. So I think that especially now, like we're blessed at a point in time where I can come to the table and I have a spot at the table, right? And I don't know, like 20, 30 years ago, if it would have been easy for me to go up to the table and say, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to help people, and this is how I want to help them. But we're so fortunate now that we have so many amazing people who are willing to just give their time and give their energy and give their advice and their knowledge. I've got some roofing crews where between just 4 people, they've got over 100 years of experience. Like, there's only one of me. There's no way I'm going to have 100 years of experience. And I can call any one of these guys and say, hey, I have a question on this. I have a question on that. And each one of them will be, here's what you need to know. Here's why this is happening. Here's how I would fix it. But, you've got to make a decision. We're talking to the homeowner. So it's interesting just to sort of see how the shift has gone culturally. Like, you sort of had that pendulum swing back and forth. And I think women are being so empowered right now, which is amazing, and like so long overdue in a lot of situations. But I think that we also have to remember that there are still a lot of good men out there, especially in the construction and solar industries, who are more than willing to like give you their time and give you their advice or whatever, if you'll just go and ask.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel that in the solar industry. We are seeing women come to the table. We're seeing women, a lot of support. I work with Carlos here, and there's like a lot of back support. People that are rooting for the females. They want to see us win and win together.
He's been amazing. Like, you guys have both been amazing today. We've had so much fun.
Yeah. Like, man, there's that stigma, where like we're just competers, but when you work with unity like this, you guys could just be completers. Yeah. And I love that. I love that mentality of utilizing men and men utilizing women to complete and not compete. Yeah. And then that's why everybody comes to the table and they win together.
Yeah. And they're like, I have guys on my crew who like they're able to, sometimes I have people who, they're more comfortable listening to a guy speak, and that's fine. And then I have other ones where I'm able to go to the door and I'm able to get that door to open when, it's like, oh,
that's
hey.
True.
And so it's what I'm finding as a female in this industry is there's a good balance there. Yeah. Like, the more that we come into it, there's a good balance, and I have yet to have, I've been really, really fortunate and blessed where I have yet to have any guy in the industry, solar, construction, any of it, have not once been told I don't belong. So it's been really, really amazing, and I'm so glad that we're seeing more women like getting involved in it, and like seeing so many men be supportive and like educating and helping and all that stuff.
So you mentioned women getting involved. What's that step? What's that process? How do women, let's say somebody like myself, hey, I want to get into the roofing industry. I'm a girl. Where do I step forward? Or like, what's the first step in that?
So my thing would be, I didn't really have any like mentors or anybody to really teach me like anything. And so I just talked to some people who I knew had some experience in it, and I said, hey, can I go to like one of your sites and watch? And so I actually went to a couple of sites before I got started and actually learned, okay, here's how I make sure I do everything correctly. Here's some of the things I need to be aware of. And one of the biggest things that I did, even before I started, when I knew I wanted to do business and I was in California, is I would find business owners and I'd be like, can I take you for coffee? Like, not hitting on you, I just want to, like, I will pay for your coffee and, like, I will give you time. Yes. And I'm like, no. But, so it's, like, just being able to value somebody's time and to give them that and to be like, hey, can I offer you this in order to sit down and, like, educate
so
me a little bit?
Offer value.
Yeah. And it's not just, hey, I want to do this, so can you just give me all the information? Like, offer value to them. And give them what that value is. Not like, well, how can I help you? Like, actually go in and say, this is what I want to do. Like, I value your time. this is what I want to do, but would you be willing to have like an hour-long conversation with me? Well, if that's too much, can I have a 15-minute conversation with you about, the top 3 things that you've had issues with in the solo industry, and the top 3 things that you probably would have tweaked or done differently when you first started.
Yeah.
Got it.
I think also now that like we're on the topic, for men, like we don't even know that females have a fear getting into the industry. Like it just goes over our head.
Yeah.
Like we're just like fear. Like what are they fearful about?
Yeah.
Where does the fear actually come from? And what do you think? How can females that want to get into the industry like overcome those fears?
I think like what Ashley said. Well, the fear, me personally, I've never feared men. I don't know if that sounds terrible.
Maybe not even men, but the industry.
I love a challenge, So I think it's not even the men itself that's fear. It's some people fear the challenge of, stepping into that. Like, okay, there's this challenge here. Like, it's not Carlos that I fear. It's the challenge that's right here. Like, there's this stigma of like, how do we segue into that? How do we go into that? And I think, like you said, it's just connecting to people. Like, I know these guys are successful, and I'm like, I want to learn. There's a saying, if you're the biggest person in your circle, then you need a new circle. And me, I love that. For me, these guys were in a different circle, and for me, I'm like, I'm in this circle here, and I'm outgrowing it because I feel like now I'm the brightest crayon in that box. Like, let me just go move on. I'm gonna move into these Sharpies. I need to go join the Sharpies over there.
I like the neon Sharpies.
But I mean, so it's like leveling up is what you really call it. So when you're a female and you're going into the industry, I want to look at the people who are bigger than me. I'm like, and I think maybe that's what it is. Like the fear is like, oh, they're big. I feel uncomfortable. I was with my daughter's boyfriend this past weekend and introduced him into the solar industry, and we're in a room of winners, these successful people. And I have my daughter here, she's 17 years old, her boyfriend's 17 years old, and I'm watching the reactions and she's just like, wow, this is so cool. And he's like,
she was like fully into it.
She was into it.
It's almost like she'd been there so many times.
She loved it. And so, but then oddly enough, her boyfriend was like, I'm slightly uncomfortable. Like, this is like, because the room felt so big to him, because it was so new to him. Whereas to her, it wasn't as new because she's seen mom, in the mix. So, I think it's just not even the industry. I think it's just the challenge of where do I go from here to here? And how do I do that?
The second you take away sort of those self-limitations. And you're like, okay, look, you've been shown that you can, in your experience or in the things that you've seen, you've only been able to go to here. Or you've only known people who are going to here. And part of that is, okay, find mentors, even if it's not somebody you meet. Like if you're just following somebody like on a podcast, or things like that. And like somebody who can take you from here to maybe not even here yet, but where you're comfortable here. And then you're just going up and up and up. And I think that's one of the biggest things. Like I said, it has been sort of like a male-dominated industry. So I think that you get some people who get a little, okay, well, I don't have the knowledge. I don't know where to go. It's sort of that challenge. I don't know if I can, like, climb this mountain. But once you realize that there was so many people who want you to succeed in this industry. There were so many people who want you to succeed. Because honestly, and it sounds cliche and it sounds just like a soundbite, but it's really not. It's, if you're succeeding, then it's going to be more likely that I'm going to succeed. Because if somebody knows about solo and they were sort of on the fence about it, but then their neighbor got it, right? That's going to make it easier for the neighbor to want to do solo, and maybe that's one that I get to do, and that's good. Like there's a healthy competition that's there, and I think that the more that we can foster that while still being supportive, it's just a win-win.
We call that a success breeding success. So it's like, man, if I want to be successful, I'm going to go hang around with the successful people, right? And the crazy thing is that men actually want to work with women. They really do, believe it or not. I can't tell you how many times when I was door knocking, people were like, can I go to the door with you? Let me go to the door with you. You're a girl, like you're less intimidating. And so, or they feel like we're organized in a different way mentally. So the men want to tap into the females and feel like, man, I could use her and I could put her in my toolbox. I could use her in this atmosphere this way. And so there's a lot of growth that comes from us learning from them and them learning from us as well.
The way we see things is also very different. Like I feel like, especially when I'm training appointment setters, if I have a male appointment setter and I'm training a female appointment setter, the male appointment setter will say things without any emotion, whereas the female appointment setter should have more of an understanding of why someone said something and have more empathy. So you like looking at that contrast, they learn of each other and they both accelerate like much faster.
It's a communication thing. Like if you're gonna have, there are some people who are just like, hey, like Michelle said, and what you're pinpointing on, you can just sort of be more comfortable with somebody who doesn't feel like it's as pushy as much. But then a lot of guys are able to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead, we're going to make a decision like now and do this. And I think that it's great to have that balance of, hey, you've got the empathy, but you've also got the, okay, boom, this is the day that we want to set it. And then, we're going to move forward from there.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say your edge in sales is? Because I can just imagine, like, you walk into my house, you're showing me a contract, like, I can feel your energy, like, it's very authoritative, so, I can just imagine you, just overcoming my objection, like, I'm signing. Well, yeah, what would you say your edge is?
I want tips.
I want 3, okay, we'll just do all of them.
I'm signing.
Well, it's funny because I get that, I can get that way, but my biggest thing is I want you to be comfortable.
What's up, guys? Real quick, just jumping in here. If you've ever wanted to become an individual sales rep and be able to sell solar from anywhere in the world, just like I am here right now, you need to jump onto the Remote Solar Pro course and program that we put together for you guys specifically. We've got the scripts, the sales call library, we've got every tool, every resource that you need to make your first sale this week alone. Jump onto salestalkwithsolarpros.com/RSP, mention this specific podcast and get a deal on a lifetime membership to Remote Solar Pro. Let's go, keep enjoying the podcast.
So if you're sort of on the fence, I'm going to I'm going to be relaxed. I'm going to just sort of sit back a little bit. I'm going to be like, okay, tell me what the issue is.
Yeah.
Because there's something stopping you right now. Like, I know that you're respectable of me because you don't want me to be here if this isn't something you want.
Yeah.
Right? Because of my time and your time and the value. And especially, let's say that you're running your own business or you've got kids or whatever it is, right? Your time is valuable.
Yeah.
So this is something that you're obviously interested in. Otherwise, you wouldn't be setting aside your time. But there's something that's sort of stopping you. Can you walk me through what your concern is on it? And so it's less a sort of an authoritative thing, but it's knowing, okay, I'm going to guide this into figuring out what like your concern is.
Yeah, because the way you talk, it's very confident,
right,
but it's very caring at the same time. Like it's coming from a place of like, I actually care,
right,
as opposed to, I'm just going to use this word track and close the deal.
Yeah.
That's what happens to us. Guys just like, what word track?
Go.
Go.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Okay, and one of the biggest things that we have is like, I am so, and Michelle said it earlier, it's like, sort of my ride or die crew. Like, we are so picky about who we bring on because I want to make sure that they have empathy.
Yeah.
And like, that's my thing. I want to make sure that you have the knowledge, that you have the heart for it, but that you also have the empathy. No one's going to do a sale perfectly every single time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're just not going to close every single deal. But if you have that heart and you have that empathy while still staying on track, like, that's when the homeowner wins, and so then we end up winning too.
Definitely. And who, like, can anyone get into sales, do you think? Like, or do you think people have to be born with some sort of natural skill to be able to sell? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
You're not.
No, I actually
I am. Yeah, no, I'm an introvert. And like, before I started this, I was just like, I don't want to talk to people.
Yeah.
I just don't. I'm like, just let me sit at home, let me read my books, let me do my garden, and I'm happy. And then this can be my bubble. But like, you don't affect change that way.
Yeah.
And I had somebody who was like, look, I can help you, but it's your company, and people want to hear you.
Yeah, yeah.
And if they don't, then you wouldn't have been doing this. And, so you just need to just go either work for somebody else or you need to start talking. And so I don't think that you have to be necessarily born with it.
Yeah.
But I think, like Michelle, you have to sort of be born with the drive to do your something.
Yeah.
And for me, my something was helping people. And so knowing that, I had to learn to open my mouth.
Yeah.
And now I get on soapboxes of things I'm passionate about, and it's like, oh God, please make her stop. So we sort of swung the other way, but I'm still an introvert, so you can learn it. You just have to put in the time to do it.
That's something super interesting that we were talking about as well. Are you familiar with Ryan Struman?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were just at his office, spent 2 days there at the Selma Solar Boot Camp.
Yeah.
And I bumped into him, and I noticed, like, one thing is he wasn't, like, super loud, and he wasn't like, yo, what's going on? He was just like, hey, how you doing? And he just walked off.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking, like, on social media, he's like a big character, very dominant. And and then I spoke to another friend, Eric Sanchez, and he said that Ryan Struman is a very introverted character. When you meet him in person, he's quite introvert, and I find that's quite a common trait of very successful people. Introvert.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we love our personal space.
Yeah.
Like we love being in the quiet, but when time comes to like show up, we show up, right?
Yeah.
So for a lot of others who are, introverts, how do they develop that? Like what tips would you give for them to...
If you absolutely hate talking to people, which I do, start at the grocery store.
Okay, yeah.
Oh.
Or the person who's
Nice.
like delivering your groceries, if you're like, look, I don't even want to go out, just have them delivered. Like, because you're going to be there for maybe 120 seconds tops. Like if you're doing a long thing, anybody can come up with something in 120 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how long have you been here? How much longer until you get off? Or do you have any plans this
Small
weekend?
conversations.
Yeah, there's small conversations, because once you get used to doing that enough, you'll be able to drag them on a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer, and at least you get over sort of that anxiety that you get sometimes of starting a conversation. Once you get somebody talking and you can find something to connect on, like it doesn't matter which side of like the political spectrum or religious spectrum or anything else you land on, you will find something in common with everybody. Like if you're looking for it. But especially for introverts, you get sort of that anxiety of I have to start talking.
I just feel like I just earned, like, for me, I'm like, man, I have a whole new respect for you guys as introverted people now, because I would not have been able to tell. That sounds like a skilled craft. You're introverted, but now you're just like, I would have known you're an introvert. I thought you got like totally baptized in Red Bull or something.
If you ask my business partner who's behind the camera, like he'll tell you, like, he doesn't see me during the daytime, because I'm at my desk and I don't like to talk to anyone. And I come out like once a day, like to the living room, like, hey man.
How's it going? I'm still alive. You don't have to come into my space to make sure I'm alive. I'm good. We're good.
Maybe because I'm a mom. Like, we're moms. I'm a mom, so I don't get to be introverted. There's no privacy in my life.
But see, that's my thing. I think that's also part of it for me, though. It's like, okay, I have all of these things, so like when I have my space, like I want my little.
You're just like,
and so
it's like recharge time.
It is. It's like you get that quietness, and it's just everything stops.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's crazy, because I've always believed, like, in sales, you just, like, we're raised as kids, right, to do two things. We're not allowed to talk, and we're not allowed to ask people for money. And then, like, you go into sales, and you gotta talk to people, and you gotta ask them for money. Like, so we actually are reversed. You're like, you are raised to do these two things, but you need those two things to master your sales craft. So it's like me, growing up in a Hispanic household, it's like you're to be seen and not heard. But I'm the only one of the 6 that was ever heard. Like, you're gonna hear me. There's no silencing this girl. There's a reason why I don't go play golf like the rest of the business people in the business world. I'm like, who invited me and told me I could not talk?
Like, no, we can't do that.
I don't want to play.
No tennis. I'm like, I'm running too much. I can't. No.
Run out of breath.
I'm gonna challenge myself to be introverted. Just kidding.
After like 10 minutes, you'll be like, okay, I gotta go talk to somebody.
Just joking.
I think it's honestly probably easier for an introvert, even though it seems like terrifying and anxiety-ridden. It's probably honestly easier for an introvert to learn how to like go out and talk to people than it is for an extrovert to like not talk to people.
I believe that.
Because you guys are just like so much the life of the party all the time. That to say, hey, okay, be quiet now, go sit in the corner, and be like, no,
I don't want to.
That would be like
that's really cool. So as women, I'm excited. I'm excited to be doing this with you. Doing this with Carlos. We know you're not a woman, Carlos, but you got such an impact.
Well, I am wearing heels.
I was going to say, do you want to see your heels? Ashley, we want to see your
heels. I didn't even know we were going to be doing this today, but I was I've got heels.
That's the first thing I noticed when you walked in the door. I was like, I didn't even recognize you.
I know.
She walked in the door, waved, and I was like, I waved back like, oh, hi, lady.
That's
Ashley.
You waved and it's like,
that's Ashley. And she's in heels.
I know, you've always seen me like just in jeans and like just running around and stuff like that. Because it's always like right in between other like projects and stuff I'm doing. So you don't normally see my other clothes.
Well, Michelle, I'm pretty sure I've seen you in your videos like knocking in heels, right?
I do it for fun.
I love that.
Yeah, because it's actually cool. It's a talking piece.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I've mastered my craft where I'm not door knocking 100 doors because I'm like, I get my goal. And I'm like, okay, if I'm knocking 100 doors in Red Hills today, there's a problem. I'm having a bad day. So I'm going to put Red Hills on today, and I'm going to go door knocking, and that's going to cue me to, like, at least get 5 bills of some sort, or I'm going to kill my feet in heels, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's either...
That's mastering a craft as well.
It's do or die, Have you mastered walking in heels, Carlos?
That will push you to the next level of success.
If I wasn't in a dress, I'd show you my Red Hills. I can't lift my leg. I'm wearing a dress, but I would show you my Red Hills. But you guys, that's my signature thing. I love heels. And Carlos is like, what should we name this album? I already know. It's done. It's Deals and Heels.
Deals and Heels.
We're doing that. So
these are actually comfortable too. Like I wouldn't be surprised. It's really comfortable.
Yeah. So Ashley, you've been in roofing for the last 8 years. Mm-hmm. Why now solar? Like what inspired you to get into solar?
So we a couple years ago had the whole snowpocalypse.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
I knocked in that.
Yep. And so I had so many people since then saying, "Can you put solar on? Can you put solar on?" After the, and it was something we had wanted to get into.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure that before we.
What did you tell all those people, by the way?
So I was like, I was like, I have a couple people that I can refer you to, but that's not something that we're doing right now.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it was just sort of this, I'm leaving like so many opportunities on the table and just like walking away from them. It was like, oh, I hated doing that. But we wanted to make sure that we were getting all of the pieces to the puzzle set up first.
Yeah.
Because that's my biggest thing. Like, I don't think that you should just jump into something if you don't at least have a plan of
action.
Yeah, of action. Because if I get somebody signed up, let's say that I went out to like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and I didn't know you guys, and I had never even looked into solar, and I just like, okay, cool, I'm going to sign up, 15 people in 2 weeks or whatever. I'm getting, a little bit more than a person a day. And I had no knowledge, and I hadn't taken the last couple of years to formulate the relationships I had and everything else. I'd have a lot of people calling me very angry. Hey, when am I getting it installed? When am I getting it installed? Yeah. And that's what it goes back to, the making sure that you have the mentor to tell you this is what you need to do, because there's back end work that you have to do. There's knowledge that you have to have. It's not a gate that keeps people out. It's just something that you have to do that first level of education. Like, we go through elementary school and high school and all that stuff so that you can actually function like in the real world. And that's sort of what we were looking at doing all the background stuff. Is like, hey, we're getting our elementary done, we're making sure we're making the right connects, and now we're ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, welcome to the industry. It's a,
thank you.
It's a, what do they call it? The solar coaster.
Yeah.
As long as you maintain
solar
that
coaster.
Longer vision.
You got your up points and your downs.
Yeah.
But you're in the right market. You're in DFW, so
I know.
we're good. Actually, I have a last question for you, and I feel like it's suitable for female.
Okay.
So, what's your relationship with failure like? We talk so much about winning, but we never talk about failing. Yeah. And so there's, for the people who are out there and what they might feel is fail mode,
right,
what's your relationship with that like, and how can you encourage them to come up from that?
So I have wanted to quit 1,000 times, honestly. And it's the thought of, okay, if I've spent X amount of years building all this and I quit today, what was the point of me doing it X amount of years? Like, there are days you're going to fail. There's going to be days where you're looking at your bank account and you're like, I have done all this work and this is all I have in it. Or I have to pay all these bills, and once I do that, it's going to be at zero, And so you sit there and you're like, okay, but I know I'm getting this in, so that's going to give me my breathing room there. And if you stop before you hit that level of success that you're wanting to get, it doesn't matter what industry you go into, you're going to keep stopping.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. Like, it's going to be painful. It's going to hurt. It's going to be just like when you're riding a bike. You don't do it perfectly.
Yeah, if you're not failing, you're growing. You ever heard that? If you're not failing,
Grant
you're not growing.
Cardone says, wherever you go, there you will be.
Yeah.
So if you're a quitter, doesn't matter if you go from one industry to another industry, you're just going to quit.
You're going to quit.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to feel like a failure. It is okay to feel like a failure. And it's okay to feel like you have no idea what the heck you're doing. Like, there's going to be stuff that, like I said, I have guys who have way more experience than I do. And that's okay. right? I have experience in other things that they don't, and we're able to like, get together and do it. Sometimes it's just about having somebody else look at you and be like, okay, you just need to have like 30 minutes or an hour, whatever. Take that time to yourself, and then put on your big girl shoes and get back out there and do it again. And sometimes that's or your guy shoes. You have big girl shoes on.
I'm like, I didn't bring my big girl shoes today.
What a failure.
You can try again tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll try again tomorrow. Or you give me yours, Michelle.
I'll lend you one.
But like, it's okay to feel like a failure. And I think so many people think, well, I feel like a failure, so I just need to quit.
Yeah.
And that's the exact opposite. If you're feeling like a failure at that point in time, that's usually right before, and I don't know why. I wish I could figure out why. Every single time I feel like I'm quitting, after that, I get some type of big win.
Yeah.
Every single time. And it's like that, universe testing you.
It's like preparing you. It's like a slingshot.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to pull you back. How much can, the more I can pull you back.
That's what we call labor pains.
Yeah.
Like, as I'm speaking from a mom's point of view,
it's
like,
labor pain.
man, it's a labor pain. You got to go through those labor pains, like the oohs and the ouches and the oh my gods. And then, but at the end of that, you birth something beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, you just have this business that's like, oh my gosh, like, that's my baby there.
Yeah.
I birthed that. But before that, I was in pain for like 2 days.
Yeah.
So
and part of it hurts, but like part of it too is like you have doctors around you or midwives or
there's a trusting.
That's such a good analogy. I've never thought about it that way.
Because you don't have babies.
But no, it's like you have people around you who's like, okay, push a little bit more.
Yeah.
Push a little bit more and you'll get there. Push a little bit more and you'll give life to this thing. And if you can find people, even if they're not necessarily in your industry, but find somebody who will motivate you and encourage you. Just like that bestie that you can call and be like, hey, I just want to quit today. And walk you through why that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Because we get and especially as women, we can get so in our heads. Like the great thing about men is you can look at it, and a lot of times it's easier to look at it as a man, black, white.
Yeah.
Okay, today's shitty, but tomorrow I've got, 6 other calls, and I know that 2 of them are ready to sign.
Yeah.
And that's easy to do. But as women, it's a lot easier for us to think, oh my gosh, I feel like such a failure right now.
Yeah.
And it's
because that's our emotional side of us.
Yeah, and it's that emotional side, which makes us great to connect with people, right? But it also can really drag you down. And so part of it is just having somebody and say, look, on days that you want to quit, they're able to sit there and say, no, you're not quitting today. And that's just one of the things that we've sort of cultivated is, I have people and I've told people, hey, if I'm not doing something right, if I'm not communicating well or I'm not doing this, I've got Josh behind the camera.
Yeah.
Call me out on it.
Yeah, she told me that. She's like, Michelle, we do business together. You can call me on my shit all day long. Because women, sometimes women are afraid of women. Yeah. Oddly enough, we really are. We sometimes we size each other up and everything, and we're just like, who's this girl? Who's this new girl?
Between men as well.
In the locker room, right?
Yeah. In the gym. In the locker room.
Why is your eye? Why you got a black eye? We're best friends now. It's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah. But just have somebody who will be honest and be like, hey, you're having a really crappy day today, but just tomorrow you're not going to have these same emotions.
Yeah. It's a new day. Wake up. Shake it off.
Yeah.
So, I believe in that. 2 things I've always told myself is 1, allow yourself room for failure, Michelle. You're going to fail. It happens. It's part of the process. And when it does, allow yourself a room for failure. Give yourself that margin. Mm-hmm. But in that margin, give yourself an end time. Yeah. Don't say, all right, today's a bad day. It's going to be bad. Don't stress yourself trying to perfect it. All right, tomorrow or Friday, if you're in this funk by Friday, something's the matter.
Yeah.
That's when you shut. That's something else that's not even related to work. Figure it out. But men, it's come on off switch. That's something cool about you guys.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Trust me, we still have thoughts that just take over.
Yeah.
And we become obsessed and.
So I'm like, all right. Remember, rule number 1, room for error. That's okay. That's fine. Rule number 2 is give yourself an end date. Yeah. Give yourself that's it. Yeah. After get up, shake it off, and move on. Yeah. That's it. Then it's kind of like when you lose somebody. I know it sounds harsh, but you can't be in mourning forever. Yeah. Give yourself that time to feel that loss, feel that pain, shake it off, and do what they would want you to do, and that's just to keep winning. Yeah. Another thing that I feel is super crucial being a woman is when you're measuring your wins and setting your goals, don't make them so big. Have that one big goal, but reverse engineer it. Pick make it measurable.
Yeah.
Like, don't say, like, oh, and, like, you're looking at your 5-year goal today. Like, yes, but look at your 6-month goal, your 1-year goal, your 2-year mark, your 3-year mark, and then just baby steps. And then you hit. And then take those small wins.
Yeah.
Like, a win is a win, whether it's big or it's small.
Yeah.
But the idea is just... the idea is just to keep on winning. And don't stop winning. And when you're in failure mode, there's 2 things that happen. Failing and then failure. Yeah. 2 big differences. If you're failing, you're okay because you're still moving.
Yeah.
And
failure like means you should stop.
Title, right?
Yeah. You accepted it.
Right?
Yeah, you accepted it. You lost.
Failing.
Yeah. So, I mean, and sometimes it's okay to walk away from something. That it's okay to lose. Like, it's all right. You got to pivot. That's it. But failing, and you just got to decide which setting you're in.
And I think honestly, like, too, so many people look at failing and they're like, they get afraid. Yeah. And so they automatically think, okay, well, now I'm a failure. And it's like, you're not. You just haven't reached that level yet of what you're trying to do. And so you still have to do your growth part of it. Like,
so you're just a failure today.
You're just a failure.
It's not tomorrow.
It's not you gonna be, you know. And when we do, we're bringing people on board and stuff like that. I'm like, look, this is not going to be easy. Like, this is not going to be, you know, something that every single person is going to love and thrive and just absolutely enjoy. But so many people who get into it absolutely do. Yeah. And that's something, it's like, you're going to find your place in it. Maybe, you know, sales is where you just thrive and you love it. And it's just, you know, you find out that's what you were made for. You know, you're always the talkative one, you're good. And maybe that's not necessarily your thing. Maybe your thing is behind and doing, like, all the paperwork stuff of it. Yeah. Making sure all the permits are right. Making sure the client has somebody that they're talking to. And, like, there's a spot for everybody at the table. It's just figuring out where are you going to succeed at the most at the table. So, yeah.
And so what's next for Ashley Storm? And I gotta say, like, it's a sick name.
I know.
Ashley Storm, Storm Roofing, Storm Solar. That's so cool.
We did good. I got lucky.
Solar Storms.
Solar Storms. So our biggest thing, and where I like to thrive, is we want to make sure we're taking care of our clients. Yeah. And then my second thing, which I put right up there on top of the first, is I want to make sure that everybody that we bring on has the same, like, heart, the same compassion, the same empathy. And then, because we can teach knowledge. Yeah. Knowledge you can teach. And so my thing is, I want to make sure that we're empowering, like, the people who come along with us. And that's where I want to see most of our growth and most of our development is being able to, like, have Josh take lead on stuff and be like, hey, I know you've been passionate about this and this is something that you want to take lead on, and be able to walk and not just see, like, him go and be able to do that, but also the people who are going to come after, be able to see them grow like that. Because at the end of the day, you can make a crap ton of money, you can, like, help a ton of people, but it's the people that you're doing life with every single day that you're going to have the most effect on. And that's what we want to do. We want to be very selective in the people that we're doing life with. And be able to help them change their lives, because so many people are having their lives change in this industry. Like, every single day. Crazy. And it's amazing. And, like, there's so much growth, and, like, it's one of the few industries that you're seeing this amount of growth in.
And literally, like, within 2-3 years, like, you know, Mo Falah, who was one of the, you know, real young gun in the industry, you know, just got acquired within 2 years. Just within 2 years, sold his company, which is crazy. So we're seeing it with our own
28
eyes.
28 years old.
28 years old.
Yeah. And it's amazing, like, the opportunity for that in a lot of other industries, you don't have that opportunity in that amount of time. And so we're really selective on the type of people that we want.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
We're good. We're really picky on the people that we bring in, because we want there to be really, really good people in the industry to help it grow and expand and have the heart for the clients while they're doing it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been an awesome inaugural, how do you say that? Inaugural. Deals in Heels podcast episode for Sales Talk Solar Pros, and we're really excited that we've had you as a guest, as the first guest on this podcast as well. Michelle, what can viewers expect on future episodes? You know what? Who are we gonna have? As guests.
Ooh, who are we gonna have as guests? There's some people I've been looking at. I mean, we talked about Melissa Ramenzi. Is that how it's Ramiza?
Yeah. Sorry if we butchered your name.
Still come.
But I mean, we're watching you. I'm watching her. She's this young female. I mean, she went to SolarCon last year. and she had this goal. She said she just didn't know anything about solar.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about solar. She went to this solar con to, you know, see what it was about, get in the mix of the people, and then she claimed it in that moment, like, I'm going to be next year in SolarCon. And she was.
Wow.
And she had a huge year.
Yeah.
So she's kind of, her
and
name.
she won the Razor as well.
Yeah, she won the
awesome.
Razor, and she won like all these awards, but she just sat like what she felt maybe like just a small another person in the audience, and now she's a highly watched female. And I'm just like, man, this girl gets me chills. And she's on, I guess, what, Danny Pessy's team, and she door knocks. So another thing that just is amazing achievement, because door knocking people. I'm just gonna say this before I end, but I love when people tell me when I knock on the door to get a real job.
Yeah.
Tell me that one more time.
I'm like, but you're home, so
like, get a real job.
It's like, well, let me in your house and I'll show you what a real job is.
It's a real job these days. So, but anyway, so people like her, you know, young females coming into the industry. There's mentors in the industry like Lindsay. I don't know how to say Lindsay's name. I don't know. No, she's amazing. I'm gonna have to ask you, Lindsay, how to say your name. But there's Lindsay. There's a lot of people like in your industry that would love to speak to, and I know Carlos has some female connections, and I think I just really want to bridge this gap of, you know, that how do we blend or how do we highlight the women in this industry and bring them into what Carlos has is an amazing platform with tons of viewers, and really just highlight their work and their efforts.
Yeah. And I think it's not even highlighting gaps. It's like, how do we all just collaborate together as like humans, you know, rather than male and female. You know?
So bridging those gaps there.
Yeah. But it's been awesome having you on.
Thank you.
Ashley, that's been cool.
Ashley.
I've had so much fun.
Yeah.
And guys, tune in every single Monday at 7 p.m. US Central Time, because that's when we're going to be going live inside the Sales Talk with Solar Pros Facebook group.
Yep.
Let's go.